But we have on the line right now another very special guest, U.S. Senator Tim Scott from the great state of South Carolina, and he is a candidate for president. We're 100 days, by the way, from the Iowa caucuses. Senator Tim Scott joins us now. Senator, thanks for joining us here on Breitbart News Saturday.
Good morning, Matt. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so lots to talk about, but the big thing is obviously this terrorist attack that just happened, that's ongoing in Israel right now. Thousands of Hamas rockets fired into Israel. The dozens of people, Hamas terrorists infiltrating the country. The Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu says that Israel is, quote, at war with the Hamas terrorists. This is really, really shocking stuff. Some of the videos are really disturbing. We've got tons of stories about this up on Breitbart. What's your reaction? What's going on there right now?
Well, unprecedented act. Without any question, when you see weakness from the Biden administration, you should expect aggression around the globe. And one of the things that we have been questioning about this administration is, do they stand shoulder to shoulder, back to back with our allies? And the bottom line is when you pay $6 billion ransom to Iran, who funds Hamas, we should not be surprised that that weakness by paying ransoms at $6 billion will only show signs of weakness that leads to aggression from Hamas, from Iran, and the people that pay the most immediate price are our allies in Israel. 5,000 rockets. 5,000 rockets shot at a nation the size of New Jersey. This is devastating. We should be strong in our reaction, strong with our support, and clear on the malignancy from the Biden administration that's spreading even into our allies' territory.
Yeah, so interestingly, the Iranians or the Iranian parliament opened today with them chanting "Death to Israel" and cheering on these terrorist attacks that are happening there. Obviously, as you mentioned there, the Biden administration just did a prisoner swap with the Iranians. They gave up 6 Iranian prisoners. The U.S. got back 6, or it might be 5 or 6 or something like that. But the Iranians got $6 billion in American tax dollars. President Trump, in his reaction to this, is suggesting that U.S. tax dollars may have been used by the Hamas terrorists to engage in these actions. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I guess all money's fungible. If the Iranians are getting the money from the United States, they're getting the $6 billion in frozen assets, then that frees them up to use money for to fund people like the Hamas terrorists over there. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, man, here's what we definitely know. Money is fungible. The $6 billion has not been accessed completely by Iran yet, but the fact of the matter is if you have a credit on your account for $6 billion, typically people count that as access available today, tomorrow, whenever. So you start reworking your spending budget. And by doing so, you put yourselves in a position to use that money even though you have not had access to it yet. So the $6 billion that they know they're getting, they're using already. And as Iran already said, the Biden administration's suggestion that we could only use the dollars in X category, we don't care what the Biden administration says. Iran says we will use the resources any way we want to, and that is clear. That the way they want to is in funding terrorism against American allies.
Yeah, and again, just the nature of this whole thing, the Biden administration's approach to the Middle East is fundamentally different than what we saw under the previous administration, where you had the Abraham Accords, and a number of Arab countries were making deals for the first time in decades with the Israelis. And now under the Biden administration, it seems like there's a rush to make deals with the bad guys, right? Like they've been trying to do stuff with the Iranians, and then you've got their approach to Israel under the Biden administration just fundamentally unsound by trying to do things with the whole two-state solution thing with the Palestinians and all this stuff. And then you look at the way that they treat our friends like the Saudis and whatnot. It's just a totally different, fundamentally different approach. And now you're seeing that, and obviously, of course, in addition to all that, Afghanistan, right? Like in the failed withdrawal from Afghanistan. So the fact is that you're seeing the logical conclusion right now of Joe Biden being the president instead of there being a different president of the United States. And this is what happens when elections have consequences. When you elect people like Joe Biden, Hamas fires rockets and kills people in Israel.
Well, Matt, you're playing a great game of connect the dots, and what you said is so clear and so important. It's one of the reasons why I'm running for president, because I know that when America is weak, that means there's blood in the water for bad actors. But the worst is yet to come. We must not only condemn the aggression, but we have to stop inviting the aggression by being pacifists. And in the Biden administration, every single time they're being passive, it is a sign to the rest of the world, blood in the water for bad actors, when this administration walks back. And you started playing connect the dots. So think about Afghanistan's terrible withdrawal. Think about President Biden saying, you can have a small incursion in Ukraine. And then he says to Russia, don't attack these specific areas of America's economy. Point after point after point only says President Biden lacks the backbone to be strong. Therefore, bullies, dictators, and bad actors take that as a sign to become more aggressive. And frankly, the deleted text earlier that said to Israel, refrain from responding, is just another indication of the weakness of this administration. It is time for a president like myself who will stand strong and be loyal to our allies and lethal to our adversaries.
Yeah, and so, Senator, the last thing I would ask you here is, okay, we're 100 days from the Iowa caucuses. We just had the second debate a little over a week ago. Lay out for us your pathway to victory here. How are you going to win the Iowa caucuses? How are you going to win the Republican nomination? Lay that out for us.
Well, Matt, one of the blessings of being in the majority from 2017 to 2020, we had an opportunity to do some really good work. And frankly, the work that we did on Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, I wrote that legislation. The former president, President Trump, signed the legislation. We were able to drop unemployment to the lowest levels across this country, a 50-year low, 70-year low for women, and others had an all-time low. When you think about the strength that we need in the White House, you got to have someone who's persuasive, who's powerful, who's optimistic, and who can persuade those independents to come our way. You can do that without compromising a single conservative principle. That is the path forward, is to have an optimistic, positive messenger with a strong backbone who understands the majority we had is a foreshadowing of the future we need.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. U.S. Senator Tim Scott, a Republican candidate for president. Sir, where can people go to learn more about you and get involved in the campaign if they so choose?
Thank you, Matt. VoteTimScott.com, VoteTimScott.com. Go there, learn more about the candidacy, make a contribution. Thank you, Matt. God bless you. Go to VoteTimScott.com.
Yeah, thank you, Senator, for joining us, and thank you for taking the time to give your take on everything that's happening.